Anne Frank is author to one of the most widely read teenage diaries in the world. Her story represents the millions of lives lost in what is regarded as one of the darkest periods of history, and inspires us all to make a better world for the present and coming generations.
This year, the Anne Frank Trust and the United Kingdom publishers of The Diary of a Young Girl have joined together to mark the 70th anniversary of Anne's death with a 1-minute campaign called #NotSilent.
Instead of 1 minute silence to commemorate the end of Anne Frank's short life, we invite you to listen to the passages from Anne's inspirational writing.
The 20th of June, 1942. After May 1940, good times rapidly fled. First a war, then a capsation, followed by the arrival of the Germans, which is when the suffering of us Jews really began. Anti-Jewish decrees followed each other in quick succession. Jews must wear a yellow star. Jews must hand in their bicycles. Jews are banned from trains and are forbidden to drive. Jews are only allowed to do their shopping between 3 and 5 o'clock, and then only in shops would bear the place card Jewish shopping.
Jews must be indoors by 8 o'clock and cannot even sit in their own gardens after that hour. Jews are forbidden to visit theaters, cinemas, and other places of entertainment. Jews may not take part in public sports. Swimming baths, tennis courts, hockey fields, and other sports grounds are all prohibited to them.
Jews must not visit Christians, Jews must go to Jewish schools, and many more restrictions of a similar kind. So we could not do this and were forbidden to do that, but life went on in spite of all of it. Jopi used to say to me, "You're scared to do anything because it may be forbidden." Our freedom was strictly limited, yet things were still bearable.
Sunday, 21st of June, 1942. According to me, a quarter of the class should stay where they are. There are some absolute cuckoos, but teachers are the greatest freaks on earth. So perhaps they will be freakish in the right way for once.
Okay, the 11th of July, 1942. You see, it's the silence that makes me so nervous during the evenings and nights, and I'd give anything to have one of our helpers sleep here. It's not really that bad here, since we can do our own cooking and can listen to the radio in Daddy's office. Mr. Kleinman and me and Bet Fuscuzel too have helped us so much. We've already canned loads of rhubarb, strawberries, and cherries, so for the time being, I doubt we'll be dead. We also have a supply of reading material, and we're going to buy lots of games. Of course, we can't ever look out the window or go outside, and we have to be quiet so the people downstairs can't hear us.
19th of November, 1942. In the evenings when it's dark, I often see long lines of good, innocent people, accompanied by crying children, walking on and on, ordered about by a handful of men who bully and beat them until they nearly drop. No one is spared: the sick, the elderly, children, babies, and pregnant women, all are marched to their death.
We're so fortunate here, away from the turmoil. We wouldn't have to give a moment's thought to this suffering if it weren't for the fact that we're so worried about those who hold it, whom we can no longer help. I feel wicked sleeping in a warm bed while still somewhere out there. My dearest friends are dropping from exhaustion or being knocked around.
I get frightened myself when I think of close friends who are now at the mercy of the cruelest monsters ever to stalk the earth, and all because they are Jews.
The 13th of January, 1943. Terrible things are happening outside, at any time of night and day. Poor helpless people are being dragged out of their homes. They're allowed to take only a knapsack and a little cash with them. And even then, they're robbed of these possessions on the way. Families are being torn apart, men, women, and children.
They come home from school to find their parents have disappeared. Women return from shopping to find their houses sealed, their families gone. Christians in Holland are also living in fear because their sons are being sent to Germany. Everyone's scared.
The 12th day of February, 1944. The sun is shining. The sky is deep blue. There's a magnificent breeze, and I'm longing, really longing, for everything. Conversations, freedom, friends, and being alone. I long to cry. I feel as if I were about to explode. I know crying would help, but I can't cry. I'm restless. I walk from one room to another, breathe through the crack in the window frame, feel my heart beating as if to say, fulfill my longing at last.
The 23rd of February, 1944. I looked out of the open window, letting my eyes roam over a large part of Amsterdam, over the rooftops and onto the horizon. A strip of blue so pale it was almost invisible. As long as this exists, I thought, this sunshine and this cloudless sky, and as long as I can enjoy it, how can I be sad?
The best remedy for those who are frightened, lonely, or unhappy is to go outside, somewhere they can be alone with the sky, nature and God, for then and only then can you feel that everything is as it should be and that God wants people to be happy amid nature's beauty and simplicity.
As long as this exists, and that should be forever, I know that there will be solace for every sorrow. Whatever the circumstance, I firmly believe that nature can bring comfort to all who suffer. Oh, who knows? Perhaps it won't be long before I can share this overwhelming feeling of happiness with someone who feels the same as I do.
29th of March, 1944, Mr. Bolkestein, the cabinet minister, speaking on the Dutch broadcast from London, said that after the war, a collection would be made of diaries and letters dealing with the war. Of course, everyone pounced on my diary. Just imagine how interesting it would be if I were to publish a novel about the secret annex. The title alone would make people think it was a detective story.
Seriously though, 10 years after the war, people would find it very amusing to read how we lived, what we ate, and what we talked about as Jews in hiding. Although I tell you a great deal about our lives, you still know very little about us. How frightened the women are during the air raids, or how many epidemics are raging here.
You know nothing of these matters, and it will take me all day to describe everything down to the last detail.
The 4th of April, 1944. I am the best and sharpest critic of my own work. I know myself what is and what is not well written. I want to go on living even after my death, and therefore I am grateful to God for giving me this gift, this possibility of developing myself, and all of writing, of expressing me, all that is in me.
Take off everything if I write. My sorrows disappear. My courage is reborn. And that is the great question. Will I ever be able to write anything great? Will I ever become a journalist or a writer? I hope so. Oh, I hope so very much. But I can recapture everything when I write. My thoughts, my ideals, and my fantasies.
The 5th of April, 1944. I need to have something besides a husband and children to devote myself to. I don't want to have lived in vain like most people. I want to be useful or bring enjoyment to all people, even those I've never met. I want to go on living even after my death.
And that's why I'm so grateful to God for having given me this gift which I can use to develop myself and to express all that's inside me. When I write, I can shake off my cares. The sorrow disappears. My spirits are revived. But, and that's a big question, will I ever be able to write something great? Will I ever become a journalist or a writer?
I hope so very much, because writing allows me to record everything, all my thoughts, ideas, and fantasies.
The 11th of April, 1944. I'm becoming more and more independent of my parents. Young as I am, I face life with more courage and have a better and truer sense of justice than mother. I know what I want, I have a goal, I have opinions, and a religion and love.
Only I can be myself, I'll be satisfied. I know that I'm a woman with inner strength, a great deal of courage. If God lets me live, I'll achieve more than mother ever did. I will make my voice heard. I will go out into the world and work for mankind. I know that the courage and happiness are needed first.
Seriously, the time will come when we are people again, and not just Jews.
Tuesday, the 11th, April 1944. Who has inflicted this upon us? Who has made us Jews different from all other people? Who has allowed us to suffer so terribly up until now? It is God that has made us as we are, but it will be God, too, who will raise us up again. If we bear all this suffering, and if there will still Jews left when it is over, then Jews, instead of being doomed, will be held up as an example.
3rd of May, 1944. As you can no doubt imagine, we often say in despair, what is the point of the war? Why? Oh, why can't people live together peacefully? Why all the destruction?
The question is understandable, but so far, no one has come up with a satisfactory answer. Why is England manufacturing bigger and better aeroplanes and bombs, and at the same time turning out new houses for reconstruction? Why are millions spent on the war each day, while not a penny is available for medical science, artists, or the poor? Why do people have to starve when mountains of food are rotting away in other parts of the world? Oh, why are people so crazy?
I don't believe the war is simply the work of politicians and capitalists. Oh no,
The common man is every bit as guilty. Otherwise, people and nations would have rebelled long ago. There's a destructive urge in people, the urge to rage, murder, and kill. And until all of humanity, without exception, undergoes a metamorphosis, wars will be continued to rage, and everything that has been carefully built up, cultivated and grown, will be cut down and destroyed, only to start all over again.
The 3rd of May, 1944. I've often been down in the dumps, but never desperate. I look upon our life in hiding as an interesting adventure full of danger and romance, and every privation as an amusing addition to my diary. I've made up my mind to lead a different life from other girls and not to become an ordinary housewife later on.
What I'm experiencing here is a good beginning to an interesting life, and that's the only reason why I have to laugh at the humorous side of the most dangerous moments.
I'm young. I have many hidden qualities. I'm young and strong and live through a big adventure. I'm right in the middle of it. I can't spend all day complaining because it's impossible to have any fun.
I'm blessed with many things: happiness, a cheerful disposition, and strength. Every day I feel myself maturing. I feel liberation drawing near. I feel the beauty of nature and the goodness of people around me. Every day I think, what a fascinating and amusing adventure this is. With all that, why should I despair?
13th of June, 1944. One of many questions that have bothered me is why women have been, and still are, thought to be so inferior to men. It is easy to say it's unfair, but that's not enough for me. I really like to know the reason for this greatest injustice.
Men presumably dominated women from the very beginning because of their great physical strength. It's men who earn a living, beget children to do as they please. Until recently, women silently went along with this, which was stupid, since the longer it was kept up, the more deeply enchanted it becomes.
The 6th of July, 1944. People who are religious should be glad, since not everyone is blessed with the ability to believe in a higher order. You don't even have to live in fear of eternal punishment. The concepts of purgatory, heaven, and hell are difficult for many people to accept. Yet religion itself, any religion, keeps a person on the right path. Not the fear of God, but upholding your own sense of honor and obeying your own conscience.
How noble and good everyone can be if, at the end of each day, they were to review their own behavior and weigh up the rights and wrongs. They would automatically try to do better at the start of each new day, and, after a while, would certainly accomplish a great deal.
Everyone is welcome to his prescription. It costs nothing and is definitely useful. Those who do not will have to find out by experience that a quiet conscience gives you strength.
15th of July, 1944. I have one outstanding character trait that must be obvious to anyone who's known me for any length of time. I have a great deal of self-knowledge in everything I do. I can watch myself as if I were a stranger.
I can stand across from everyday Anne, and without being based or making excuses, watch what she's doing, both the good and the bad. This self-awareness never leaves me, and every time I open my mouth, I think you should have said that differently, or that's fine, the way it is.
I condemn myself in so many ways that I'm beginning to realize the truth of my father's adage. Every child has to raise itself. Parents can only advise their children, or point them in the right direction at least. Ultimately, people shape their own characters. In addition, I face life with an extraordinary amount of courage. I feel so strong, capable of bearing burdens, and so young and free. When I realized this, I was glad, because it means I can more easily withstand the blows that life has in store. For me, for you, for everybody. And Frank was not silent.